It's time for the segment of the show where somebody goes, you know what, I better call Saul-Sehy and OG. In this case, they wrote us. Our friend Lori wrote us a nice long note. We actually wrote back to Lori and go, Lori, if we hear the sound of your voice, you know what? We can give you some swag. But Lori decided she'd much rather write in, which is fine by us because this is a heck of a question, guys. If you want to write to us, it's just we have a contact form on the site or email me, Joe at Stacking Benjamins. But truly, if you call in stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail, and we will give you some Stacking Benjamin swag for being brave. Lori says, hey, OG, Joe, and neighbor Doug. I've been having some great money conversations with my 20-year-old daughter since she came home from school to start her internship. She started contributing to their 401k when she started with the company last summer. And if she continues there through school, she'll be fully vested within a year of graduation. What's cool, by the way, Lori, I'm going to finish the rest of your note in a second. On Wednesday, we're going to talk a lot about vesting and about how that works. That'll be our headline in just a couple of days, so hang out. Anyway, back to Lori's letter. She also started a weekly deposit into her Roth IRA. That's so badass. So as we talked about her paycheck and how she wanted to divide it, we started looking at the buckets in her high yield savings account. Her college expenses are covered by scholarship, Roll Tide. And so she's trying to.
That one pain you a little bit to say.
I might have choked on that a smidge. And so she's trying to figure out what things she should be saving for. Her car fund's growing nicely. She's got a small vacation fund. And now she's having a hard time even thinking of any specific bucket she can save for. The only thing she came up with was a $500,000 goal in a house fund, to which I told her she should never have $500,000 in cash. To get to my question, what suggestions you have for a 20-year-old as goals she should be saving for? Just looking for some brainstorming. Thanks for that question, Lori, and congratulations, by the way, on these conversations early on at 20 years old with your daughter are just absolutely huge, and they so rarely happen. OG, I'm just super excited that they're talking about this stuff so she can get off on the right foot.
Well, even having access to a 401k plan at 20 is pretty much unheard of. Usually most companies don't even allow you to start until you're 21. So the fact that she's got access to it, Roth IRA is great too. I always find it interesting talking to people about their financial goals. And sometimes people feel frustrated about not having anything in particular, almost like you have to be obligated to have some sort of thing goal in the future, like, well,
a name on it.
Yeah, well, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could save money to go to Europe, I suppose. And you just feel like there's no energy around that. You're like, well, that's not going to stick. So let's not use that one, And this is very common for people that are early on in the workforce. We work with clients that are 30 and we work with people that are, 70. And, this 50 and 60-year-olds have a pretty good idea when they want to retire. It's like, oh, yeah, tomorrow afternoon, if possible, please. And in lieu of that, I will take some time, anytime. And honestly, in the next 5 to 10 years would be great. But you talk to somebody who's like just getting started in their work career, just getting out of college. And you say, well, what financial goals do you have? When do you want to retire? And they're like, retire? Dude, I'm like 28, man. I just started. I don't even know what that looks like. And that's really fair. Part of the problem that I have with the whole FIRE concept is people start thinking about that when they're, 25 or 28 and have no idea what life is going to be like when they're 40 or 45 or 50 and what they're going to want to do and spend time on and, have interests in. All that to say, I don't think that it's important to have any particular thing goals to tie your, investment or savings to. For a college student, cash is king. I really think so, because there's a lot of stuff coming up, whether it's higher college costs than what you projected, an overseas trip because you decided you wanted to do the study abroad for the summer or for half a semester, whatever that looks like. There's some extra costs there. You get done with school and then you're going to pack your stuff and you got to move to insert town here, and you've got to put a security deposit down on a new apartment, and maybe you're going to buy a new to you car or, whatever. And you have to get furnishings. There's a lot of outflow that's coming up over the next 3 to 5 years, probably. So I don't think it's important to have any particular You don't have to force it, I guess is what I'm saying. If you wanted to.
I like the phrase you used a second ago. Sorry, the phrase you used a second ago, which was, it doesn't have to have a thing name. It doesn't. It can have a state of mind name.
Yeah.
Right? That peace of mind.
I think, I mean, it's good to have it. You will have certainly more motivation around saving for the fun trip or saving for, whatever. But because you've got a time frame and something in your mind that's wrapped around. But I don't think that you have to feel obligated to do it, and like you said, Doug, whether it's like, I just want to be financially secure, and what that looks like is 3 to 6 months of my spending in cash that just sits there and does nothing, so that I can invest aggressively outside of that, for the long term, for whatever that is. Like, I don't even know what the long term is yet when I'm 22 or 25 or 28. I don't know, but there's a lot of life that happens between 20 and 40, and you won't be disappointed if you start your working career with a fully funded emergency fund, let's say, as an example.
I wonder, even if it's not an emergency fund, I wonder what different choices any of us would have made with our careers if we had the freedom to make those choices, because we had more than a rainy day fund. We had 2 years of runway on, living expenses. What would we have done differently?
You're saying you could spend more time saying no.
Yeah, exactly. Spend time saying no to just taking the first job offer you get because you need something, and waiting for the right one, either in the industry you want or in a totally different thing. But that's a bucket of money that most people only can dream of at that age. In your 20s, when you're just getting your career started, you can really have a freedom of choice on your career.
It's funny because while I definitely think that having a goal, to your point, makes it stickier, being able to work backwards when I know the time frame and I know the amount of money, it makes it easier also to pick the right investment. I also know, as you do, OG, that's what people freak out about. Is this the right investment? Am I in the right investment? And so finding that purpose for the money makes it stickier. But what I love when you're just starting out is having that freedom to just put the money in. And this is why we like the total stock market. It's why we like just putting it in a good passive index fund until you get that thing. I also like the idea of not brainstorming it. I think answering Lori's question of, I'm hoping for some brainstorming with, don't need to do that, is the perfect answer. It just is now here's the downside. Beyond that emergency fund, if a goal sneaks up on you and all of a sudden you want the money today and it's in one of these long-term indexes and they happen to be down at this point, well, then we might have an issue. But overall, just sticking it in some place where it will grow to buy that flexibility later that Doug, you're talking about, I think is a huge win.
I just pictured Lori having this conversation with her, with her daughter, and her daughter's like, so what'd they say? What'd they say? Well, basically it boils down to, you should save because I said so. Like the classic parent reason. Just do it.
If you don't do because I said so, do because OG said so. And you don't want OG coming over here. Telling you.
Don't make him pull over this car.
If you really want to have a discussion, I think, Lori, with your daughter about what really lights her up. I love this conversation we had with John Acuff at the beginning of this year, where he said, don't look off into the abyss, OG, because it freaks you out. People going, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Oh my God, I'm 20. Are you kidding me? Don't do that. What John talked about, and I would go back to the interview and listen to it for context, but John talked about look in the rearview mirror and go, to this point, what is it that you've had fun with? And while that might not be the same stuff you're having fun with at 35, 40, 45 years old, it leads you down a path that more likely is going to be fulfilling. And I definitely like that approach better. But love your answer, OG. No need to brainstorm.
Let it come to you. Be the ball. Be the ball, Danny.
Thanks for the question, Lori. Again, if you've got a question for us, StackyBenjamins.com/voicemail gets you there.